You know, I dated Prince Charles for a bit in the early 1970s. I rather look forward to being Princess of Wales one day. But then he started calling me all hours of the night, complaining about his father preferring his sister Anne and his mother looking at him as her replacement. But the thing that really was the last nail in the coffin was when he said he wished he was a tampon so he could live inside me. So I passed him off to my dear friend Camilla Shand and I said, "Girl, you're a freak. You might enjoy this." And you know, I really think she got the longest stick because she got Buckingham Palace and I got a thrice mortgaged cottage outside of Bournemouth. And welcome back to Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ Powers, here with my co-host,
Paul, as usual. And was that a reading from an actual book, or did you just make that shit up?
I kind of made it up, but Prince Charles, or now King Charles III, there is a recording of him telling his now wife, Camilla, that he wished that he was a Tampax so he could live inside her vagina.
See, that's crazy. Men be saying some wild things, like...
And you know what? He said that while he was still married to Diana. Which just it took it from cringe to
Justice for our girl Diana, obviously. And speaking of being inside things, I went home for the holidays.
Why did you phrase it like that?
Because I saw the insides of a deer, and it was crazy. I held the windpipe. It felt crazy. And
you did not get to squish the heart, though.
No, they left that in the woods. And you'd think, like, me being from, like, backwoods middle of nowhere...
Wait, you weren't, like, out hunting with them?
No, they killed the deer and brought it back.
I thought you went with them and that you just stuck your hand in and went,
No, I was there for the butchering process. Trigger warning. I saw them skin the deer and everything. I saw the bullet hole in the ribs on both sides where it went in and out.
So it gave you a whole new perspective to some of the shit we talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we just finished talking about her Boymeister, who was a serial killer, so it was really kind of like this morbid curiosity type thing, like, oh, what did these serial killers see?
Did they do this at your mother's house?
Yeah, well, not in the house, like...
No, but like on her property.
Yeah, on the property, yes.
And I assume it was your stepfather?
Yes.
And was it your brother?
My brother was not there. My stepbrother was there.
Okay.
My stepbrother was the one who killed the deer. So it was quite the experience, really. And if you've never had venison, venison is actually really good. It's supposed to be really healthy meat for you. Now, will I be going hunting in the near future? No. No, it was cool. And I had a thought to maybe go hunting at the beginning of the month, but it was a passing thing, like many things are. A passing thought.
I think we had discussed it while we were all taking drink.
Yeah, we were drunk. We were like, oh, yeah.
We were not drunk. Well, you might have been drunk. I was not drunk. I was like, yeah, we can go hunting. Let's go hunting. Let's go fishing. These tariffs are about to fuck our lives up. Like, let's get our own food.
Let's fill our freezers, girls. Let's get into it, sisters. Us gays in the woods. Into the woods.
Why do I need to wear neon when I can just bedazzle my hunting vest?
Oh my gosh, I love the clothes with branches on them. It's so cute. How was your week, DJ?
My grandmother died.
Rest in peace, DJ's grandma.
Not Rose. Rose did not die. My father's mother died.
Yeah. DJ's still plotting that one.
Oh, Jesus. Don't say that. She'll actually believe you. Yeah, but... it's coming up the holiday, so I don't have money to buy spare booze for us to shoot with, considering we don't shoot very often, so...
And that's okay. Rest in peace. Do you have any words? No? Okay, no. That's
you
fine.
really put me on the spot there. I was like, I should have something.
No worries. I'm sure she was a wonderful lady.
Yes,
I never got to meet her, but I'm sure she was a wonderful lady.
Yes.
And speaking of wonderful leading women, Lindsay Lohan, let's get into Pop Culture Corner. Now, I did have the privilege and the honor of seeing Lindsay Lohan's new movie on Netflix.
It was a privilege and honor.
Yes.
And a joy.
I don't know about joy. Some things are an honor, but not all honors are joyful, okay? Okay, so the movie was pretty good. I feel like this is going to be her trend. She's going to have her once a year movie where she has her Hallmark movie once a year on Netflix. And you know what? I'm here for it. She's in her wholesome era. You go, Lindsay Lohan movie. It was okay. It also had the pedophile from Pretty Little Liars, which, if we want to talk about that...
Wait, what pedophile from Pretty Little Liars?
Ezra Fitz, his character, was the teacher dating a 16-year-old, and
Okay.
they whole ass had us rooting for him.
Okay, I mean...
He's not a pedophile in real life.
Yeah, you were like throwing out a term there, and I was like, wait, he's still getting work?
No, he's not in real life. It's just the teacher. It was just... The way we were 12 years old watching Pretty Little Liars, rooting for the teacher to date his 14-year-old, 15-year-old student was crazy.
I never watched Pretty Little Liars.
I had my obsession with it, and it was a good obsession until like season 4 when it started getting a little crazy, okay? You can only keep up with something for so long before the twists and turns, and they're never gonna find A. It's like, girl... Give it a rest. Just find A so we can all move on with our lives.
They were they were just like trying to redo Gossip Girl.
Very that.
If you think about it, it was the same overreaching plot of Gossip Girl.
Now that you say that is so true. That's
beautiful, well-to-do girls in high school trying to find a mysterious person.
Exactly. We also watched Hot Snowman.
Hot Frosty,
whatever the fuck. It was a cool movie.
I enjoyed it.
The guy was hot.
Yes, he was.
The message was interesting. I guess if your snowman comes to life, make love to it. Get into it, guys. I don't think that was the message.
I think the message was sometimes you just got to open yourself up to the love that's in front of you.
Yes. Let them see your labia, the majora, and minora. It was an interesting movie for sure. The guy was hot, whatever. I'm not a Hallmark girly. Lots of people I know love Hallmark, whatever.
Hot Frosty, I heard from someone that because it's Netflix, and basically the idea was it was making fun of all those Hallmark movies. Like, it's like a parody of them.
I could see that. Okay, yes, I could see that.
Because my aunt and cousin, we talked about it at Thanksgiving dinner where I asked them if they watched it and they said they made it through the first 10 minutes and then they said, this is really stupid. I can't even handle it. And I said, well, it is kind of stupid, but if you look at it as a joke, then it's just like kind of, then you're in on the joke and it's a lot more enjoyable. And they both went, oh.
See, that's tea, because it was kind of like tongue-in-cheek a lot of time. And she was tongue-in-cheek with the snowman, okay? And I'm talking about the lower cheeks, okay? Not the upper. So,
I mean, I would be...
Oh, honey, we know what you would be doing. You're like a feral little cat. Speaking of feral cats, though... That's a good thing. You're like a tomcat. I'm like a tomcat, too. We're all tomcats. We're feral. That's all I have for Pop Culture Corner. So do we want to get some alcohol?
Yes.
Period.
This week, we are drinking Willem Willems, a 2022 Riesling of der Lauer Feinherb.
Now, what accent are you trying to do there? What are we doing today?
I'm trying to read it in German, and it's from Mosel, Germany.
Okay. You said yes, the finals. Das Wein?
Das Wein, it's das Willem Willems Riesling of der Lauer Feinherb.
Period. Let's get into it. Let's get this crack.
This is a crack.
Okay, she's a nice crack. Nice little bop.
My wrist cracked.
That's okay.
And it sucks because I pulled a muscle in my other wrist cooking on Thanksgiving, so now I'm out of commission with both hands.
Darn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that smells really good.
I love a Riesling.
Oh my god, that smells so good. Good news! We've also been obsessing over Wicked.
Yes, we have been. We saw it last Sunday.
Yes.
And you got to go to see it again. Bill and Rose will not take me with them. I'm bitter.
Right. Cheers! Oh my god, that is so fucking good! Oh my god! 5 grapes. Was she actually from Germany?
Yeah.
Wilhelm? Okay, clock me in Germany just to get this wine. This wine is amazing. I love a Riesling.
So do I.
How many grapes?
5.
5?
5.
That wine is amazing.
I'd probably give it 6 if we could.
Yeah, if you want a good wine, that wine is the best wine I've had in a long time.
That is, it would go great with chicken. It would go great with fish. It would go great sitting on the porch on a summer's day.
Yes.
I'm really bitter over it being winter. It's going to be a very long winter.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold in here right now because it's just cold in here right now.
Last week I had talked about my new glasses coming in. They are here.
Ooh, fancy.
So I'm going to wear... Oh my god, I'm not used to seeing myself on the camera.
Oh, girl.
Okay. Paul, let me tell you a story.
Let's get into it.
How do you define evil? I don't mean from a dictionary. I mean legally speaking. How do we define evil? Legally speaking, what constitutes evil? Can someone be held liable for evil? How can we put it on trial and prosecute it? While you think on that, how do we medically define evil? What are the symptoms? How can we test for it? Is there a cure? In modern law and medicine, there is no definition of evil. There is no room in our modern world for curses or demons or possession. Surely we're more evolved than that. Or is it that we're ignoring its existence? Today, we will discuss how demonic possession affected a young girl and put the rite of exorcism on trial as we explore the exorcism of Anneliese Michel.
Oh, Anneliese Michel. Okay. What an interesting story,
Yes.
period. And this poses a lot of interesting questions, too, about the legal system, because, I can curse so many whores, and they just don't know.
Well, you don't want to do that.
Why?
You don't want to throw curses because, and I've heard this from a lot of witches.
Well, the Wiccan law, the rule of 3.
It's the rule of 3 from Wiccan
What
law.
you throw out comes back to you threefold. So if you curse people, it's basically karma. What you put out, you get back.
Yes, I was going to say, because I'm not Wiccan, the way it's been defined to me is that to curse someone or to hex someone, it's going to take from you.
Take from your energy?
Take from your energy, from your health, from your love life, wherever the universe can take from. Mm-hmm. It's you have to pay for it. Mm. And so it's it's not worth it.
It's like selling your soul.
Yeah.
In a different way.
Yeah.
Okay, period. Now, also, side note, Anneliese Michel also sounds like a good drag name. So if it hasn't been taken yet, kids, free drag name, Anneliese Michel.
Yeah, you might not want to take it after I'm done with the story.
Oh, girl. Okay, let's get into it, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. German, yeah.
So, Anneliese was born Anna Elisabeth Michel on December 21st, 1952 in Klingenberg, Bavaria, West Germany.
Oh, by the time this comes out, it's going to be so close to her birthday.
September. Did I say December?
Oh, sorry. You might have said September. I heard December. Because it's Christmas time. My mind's on Christmas,
I know.
girl.
It's December 1st when we're recording this. She was the youngest daughter of Anna and Joseph Michel. The family was devoutly Roman Catholic. Anneliese would come to attend Mass twice a week. Joseph had once considered joining the priesthood prior to his marriage to Anna. And actually, Anna had their first child, Martha, out of wedlock in 1948 and was shunned by their Catholic community for it.
This is her mother that was shunned out of wedlock. Okay.
Yes. And when she married Joseph, she was forced to wear a black veil at the ceremony, as retribution for the sin of bearing a bastard child.
See, the black veil, though, that's kind of cool. I'm here for that.
I mean, you and I think it's cool, but
she would have been devastated for sure. She would have been
if it was an option, yeah, but she was told no, you have to wear black to your wedding.
Oh, rough. Sorry, girl.
Yeah. And Anneliese was a very sensitive child and really felt the need to atone for her mother's sin, especially after Martha, the her elder sister, who was born out of wedlock, had died in 1958 when Anneliese was 6.
That's really interesting you say that about her feeling like she has to atone for her mother's sins. I actually heard a story recently about someone who like felt the same way. I wonder if that's like some sort of disorder or something where you feel like you have to like pay for the sins of your parents.
Okay. Coming from a Catholic childhood, I don't think it's a disorder. I think because she was described as a very sensitive child, I think it was, I want to do this for mommy. Mm-hmm. It's like, I want to make mommy better.
Yeah. And Catholics, they very much have their own trauma. They don't need trauma from their parents. They have their own trauma, for sure.
So I think like she kind of saw what her mother was going through, and it was like, I want to make up for mommy so mommy can.
Okay, period.
That's my interpretation.
I got it. I'm here for it.
Anneliese was a sickly child, coming down with measles, mumps, and other childhood illnesses throughout her childhood.
Not the mumps. Guten Mumps. Oh, yeah. Get the sausage. Get the bratwurst. She's got the mumps. That's probably not even German. I don't even know what I'm trying.
Well, you're like Guten Mumps, and it's like good mumps. Guten is good.
Bitch, I'm German too. I should know.
Oh my god. The new glasses are coming off. I keep seeing myself in the camera and I'm like, is that what I look like?
You know what? You kind of look like a priest today. So this kind of works. The all black with the cross. You kind of look like a priest.
Because I'm in mourning.
Mourning, rest in peace again.
I even told you that earlier when you were like, what are you wearing? And I went black and you were like, is that a choice? And I was like, no, I'm in mourning for 10 days.
Yeah. Isn't that a Jewish thing?
They, yes and no. Mm-hmm. In Jewish culture, they do have a very strict mourning practice where you, I forget what it's called, but where you basically like
scissor.
No.
Oh, you were doing the motion with your hands.
No, I was just doing something with my hands and my fingers got in the way. Oh shit, I can't remember it. But where basically they stay at home in like prayer and reflection for 7 days.
Yeah, something like that.
But no, this is just wearing black and like I won't be going to any parties for 10 days.
Oh.
Not that I'm invited to any parties in the next 10 days.
Right, me either.
Yeah, just like slightly curtailing my social calendar. Where was I? Okay, she received most of her religious education from her grandmother, who was strict and devoted to the old ways of the church. Okay. So this was a time in the Catholic Church where they were doing the Vatican II Council, which was where they started modernizing it, getting rid of Latin, so that instead of saying the Mass in Latin all over the world, it would be said in the local religion.
English. Okay, yeah.
Making education more accessible to normal people and not just priests.
Okay, period.
Trying to really put the religion in the hands of the people. But on the other end, a lot of people within the church were against this, preferring the old ways in an ever-moderning world.
Okay.
But Anneliese was devoted to her religion and gladly prayed and attended Mass. As I said, she would attend twice weekly Mass. She was described by teachers and friends as bright and likable, but very religious and withdrawn, so she wasn't very outgoing.
Okay.
But like she wasn't like a recluse either. She was a very bright student. She studied Latin and showed a great aptitude at it, and also learning and playing the piano.
Cute, good for her. She's a lady of the world.
She is
well-rounded.
And from a very early age, she decided that she wanted to study to become a teacher one day.
Oh yeah, guten Teachen. I wish I knew more German words.
You should just like start Google translating various words. I'll vamp while you look up how to say teacher in German.
No, keep going and then I'll just...
When she was 16 years old, she had an episode where she blacked out at school and walked around in a trance for some time and reporting having no memory of the incident afterwards.
Wait, what was the incident one more time?
She blacked out, like in the middle school, had no idea. Like, she just went out and then came back and was like, what time is it? I have no idea what happened in the last 2-3 hours.
So the ghost or whatever is about to make her need exercised, they got her at school.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Could you imagine you're just sitting in PE class and then it's like... she just like eggs out in front of everyone. They're like doing math and all of a sudden she's like... You're all gonna die.
Oh my god. It's biology. Everyone's hitting up the frog and then she's like, die, 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 die. Red Robin.
And then she's like, LOL, what just happened, guys? What is everyone staring at? LOL, what's going on?
Did you find a German word you want to throw out?
Arschworm. That means earworm. You're welcome. There's also...
Isn't that like when you have a song stuck in your head?
Oh! Arschworm. Bitch, you're so smart.
I think I saw that.
Crazy.
I think I saw that on Facebook before.
Yes, a lot of these words are hard to pronounce, girl. So, Luftschloss. What a fucking Luftschloss.
I'm gonna say something, and our German listeners might get mad at me for saying it, but I once heard that the trick to pronouncing German is if you just shout it like you're angry and you're about to spit, it will sound more authentic.
That makes sense. It's a very
Riesling!
It's a very intense language.
Yes, it is.
Very.
That night, the night that she had this blackout, and no, she was not drinking, she was in school.
Likely story.
She woke up to a heavy feeling on her chest before wetting the bed and convulsing violently in a seizure.
Oh, gosh, that's awful. I hope that's not in a dorm where other people see it.
No, she's 16, so she's still at home.
Okay, that's good. That would be so embarrassing. And then
yeah, it was like once she came out of it, she did strip her bed and throw all the sheets in the wash and remake her bed and go back to bed. But she later said she woke up and it felt like somebody was sitting and pressing on her chest. And she couldn't move and she wet the bed in fear. And after that, she just had a seizure.
Gosh, that's the worst feeling too. It's a heavy chest because I have anxiety, so it just feeling like you can't breathe.
No, worse than that, it felt like somebody was on top of her.
That sucks.
Which I think is worse, if you wake up in the middle of the night in the pitch dark and it feels like somebody's just pressing down on your chest.
Right.
Because if it's dark enough, you don't know if someone's actually there or not.
Right. It's like, Edward, are you there? Brought the Twilight back around. You're slacking,
yes, you did.
DJ.
Yes, you did. It's been
Twilight's
a long time.
supposed to be your thing. Come on. Doofenshmirtz.
This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
This is the piss of a killer.
Jesus, not the piss jokes.
I'm not bringing that back. Don't worry.
Should I bring up the elephant in the room?
I mean, we can let the people know what happened.
So this is actually the second time we're attempting to record this. The first time was over the summer.
And the audio just was not
I think the demon did not want to be perceived because it just went to shit. First, we tried to open a bottle of wine. The cork broke.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And so then we used a metal straw and we pushed the cork in and the wine had gone rancid.
Yeah.
Luckily, Paul had a second bottle of wine laying around and we just drank it. But then, when we were done, the mics hadn't picked up the audio.
Yeah.
And it was you could only get so many phrases.
Yeah, it was rough. But now we're giving it another go, so watch out, demon.
So, if this one doesn't come out, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, we'll just not do this topic. Or maybe we will. Who knows?
Well, I am wearing a cross this time, so maybe we're protected.
Spirit.
I should have brought rosaries and put them over the microphones.
Yes, that would be so period.
A third incident occurred the following year and caused her to seek medical advice from both a general practitioner and a neurologist, found her in good health.
Okay.
So she had another seizure. And so she went to her family doctor and a neurologist. and they both found nothing was wrong with her. And they actually did a brain scan and found no irregularities to account for her having seizures.
That's so weird.
In 1970, she was admitted to the hospital with tuberculosis and confessed to seeing colors.
Seeing colors? That's crazy.
Wait, no, I think I wrote this wrong. I think it was she was seeing sound, hearing colors, and experiencing euphoria while praying the rosary. And she was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy despite a second brain scan having no irregularities to indicate her actually having epilepsy. So basically the doctors just said,
you're going crazy.
They were just like, so this sounds like epilepsy, and so even though there's no physical proof you have epilepsy, we're going to diagnose you with epilepsy because we don't know what's going on.
That's crazy. They're just going to pop a diagnosis on her, not even fully knowing what's up.
2 years later, she would have a third brain scan, which, though it did show minor irregularities, doctors said that these minor irregularities would not cause seizures.
Okay. So these seizures are coming out of nowhere. She's got unexplained medical things. She's hearing the colors and seeing the sounds.
Yes.
Shit's not...
And
it's crazy.
The irregularities were like... So our brains are like... It's like a jello mold.
Yeah.
In our skull. And so because she's having these seizures, when she's shaking, the brain shakes too, and it hits against the walls of the skull. And those were like the irregularities that they had found were like minor, like very minor, like bumps and bruises caused by the seizures.
Okay.
Not a major irregularity that would have caused a seizure.
Okay. That's really interesting, actually.
Like if you trip, go into your bedroom and you fall and you hit your head off the floor, and you do a brain scan, they're going to find an irregularity.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you had a seizure and that's what caused you to fall. You fell and it caused the irregularity.
Right. Okay.
So they're... wait, what's that? Causation? Correlation does not mean causation. Causation doesn't mean correlation.
Yeah, correlation.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So at this point, she was prescribed Dilatin, which is an anti-seizure medication, but she soon told the doctors that it was not helping. She continued to be having these seizures, seeing or hearing colors, seeing sounds, experiencing euphoria while praying.
That's crazy.
Which, if she did have epilepsy, this should be stopping it.
The euphoria?
Yeah, because, like, we think of a seizure as convulsing.
Yeah.
But you can also have a seizure where it just, like, causes hallucinations. Because your brain's, like, seizing up.
Okay. I see what you're saying now. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, like, it should be stopping her from having these experiences, but she's having the convulsions still. And she's still, like, reporting seeing these stuff, experiencing random euphoria. Mm-hmm. The medication should be stopping this.
Okay.
So she was actually staying in the hospital when she was praying the rosary when she claimed to have had a visitation from the Blessed Mother. She was broken out of the reverie of the visitation when fellow patients were informed that her hands had deformed themselves into claws.
Oh. She's like, Guten Morgen, Anneliese. I'm the Blessed Mother. Come to bring the sausage.
You, like, became Norwegian. but like, not real Norwegian. Like, what's his name from Frozen? Yoo-hoo, big summer blowout.
Yeah.
That's what she sounds like.
Big summer blowout.
Anneliese attempted again to communicate with the Blessed Mother, but instead began to see devil faces at various times of the days.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, can you imagine, like, please, dear Blessed Mother, Virgin Mary, come and say, holy shit, Beelzebub!
Right. She's just a class and then it's like, ah! Oh, sorry. Keep going about your days.
In response to this, her doctors prescribed her Aolep, an antipsychotic, sometimes prescribed to schizophrenia patients.
Okay.
So now her doctors are saying she has schizophrenia and giving her medication for that.
Okay. She is seeing shit, so...
She is seeing stuff. By the next year, 1973, she had begun to hear strange knocking noises in her bedroom, which her sisters could also hear from their own rooms.
You said there were dog noises?
Knocking.
Okay. Interesting.
So...
What if there was actually someone knocking, though? What if it was just her knocking and she was like, I'm not crazy, I'm gonna make them hear the knocking?
No, because, like, the sisters would, like, hear it muffled and, like, walk in and be like, why are you knocking the wall? And she's like, I'm not. And they'd be all standing in there and they could hear the knocking.
Oh, so they saw her and then heard the knocking.
Yes.
So they saw she wasn't doing it.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, they could hear it as well. So it's not an auditory hallucination.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right.
She also began to hear voices shouting at her as she prayed, saying she was damned and going to rot in hell.
Girl, me too. See you there.
Anna, during this time, witnessed Anneliese staring furiously at a statue of the Blessed Mother with pitch black eyes, and her hands had seemed to turn into thick paws with claws. So her eyes turned black, and her hands once again deformed into an inhuman shape.
Oh, that's creepy. Oh, jeez. But also, do you think the demons had a German accent too? That's really interesting to think about, because a demon would be really funny with a German accent.
Well, we'll get into that a little bit later.
All right, period. I'm not even going to attempt to try to do the demon German accent.
Don't.
That would be awful.
Anneliese reported to her neurologist that she continued to see the demon faces and that she could smell burnt feces and sulfur around her at times. And she said, I know the devil is inside me.
Oh, hot.
Allegedly, the neurologist told her mother to consult a priest rather than him.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly, people.
We'll get into that later.
Wake up, sheeple.
Anneliese began to become frustrated and further depressed that care in a psychiatric hospital and years of medication was not relieving her problem, and actually contemplated committing suicide.
Oh, that's sad.
Because, like, she couldn't live a normal life at all. Like...
Yeah, she's smelling things, seeing
At this
things.
point, she's 21 years old. She should, like, be, like, in college studying to become a teacher.
Right.
Maybe going out with her boyfriend and her friends.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, like, she doesn't have the energy to get up because she's just being tormented.
Oh, that's awful. I can't even imagine having your youth stolen like that.
Right. Anneliese then became intolerant of religious objects such as crucifixes and rosaries. She went on a pilgrimage to the shrine of Our Lady of the Roses in San Damiano, organized by a family friend, Thea Hine. Once there, she found she could not walk past a crucifix in the chapel at the front of the site, as it caused her literal physical pain to see it.
Okay. Honestly, though, if I was with her, I'd be like, bitch, stop being dramatic. Let's fucking go. I'd be so annoyed with that, bitch.
Yes, because San Damiano is in northern Italy, so they would have to, like... And she lived in Bavaria, which is, like, in the west of Germany.
Right.
So they had to, like, drive, like, quite a bit. Like, it's like driving from, like, here to New Jersey.
Right, and it's like, I'd definitely be that friend and be like, bitch, I don't care if you burn.
Bitch, we drove in that smelly-ass van for 7 hours.
Right, you pissed 3 times, you saw bees above 4 times.
She also found that she was unable to enter the shrine and complained that the soil was burning her feet like fire. So what she did was, so it's an outdoor thing. Mm-hmm. And she walked in a wide arc around the site to try and approach the shrine from the back, but also found that she could not enter from the back of it either. Like, she had the same experience. And furthermore, because she was walking from the back, she could see the faces of all the people praying at the shrine. And she said it looked like they were gnashing sharp teeth at her.
That's spooky, but girl's definitely having some hallucinations. I don't know. Is she sane? Who knows? Let's keep going.
She returned to the front of the shrine and found that she still could not enter it at all, making it only far as the garden out front.
Interesting. I wish someone would have just, like, pushed her in and see what happened. Like, bitch, are you actually gonna burst into flames?
Here's the thing. Well, physically she could do it. Mm-hmm. But she was experiencing, like, her feet were burning like she was walking on hot coals.
Yeah.
So even if somebody had pushed her, she probably would have screamed and leapt out again.
And that would have been embarrassing, okay?
Exactly.
No, that would have been real embarrassing.
Her father bought her a religious medal, and she had to take it off, saying that it felt so heavy on her chest she could not breathe.
Okay.
Her demeanor drastically changed, and she actually attacked Thea, ripping a medal she wore around her neck off and shoving her to the ground before mocking her in a man's voice.
Wait, who did this?
Anneliese did it to Thea, the family friend who organized the trip.
Oh, okay.
So, like, her father bought her a medal as a souvenir.
Yeah.
And put it on her, honey, I know you're going through something, like, wear this. And she was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I feel like I'm being choked. Mm-hmm. And Thea had one on too, but she had it on underneath her dress.
Okay.
And Anneliese just turned her, grabbed her by the collar, ripped the collar of her dress, grabbed the medal, ripped it off, and then shoved her on the ground. And then a man's voice just, like, came out of her.
She said, Guten Morgen!
Did you eat your Vichys this morning? And drink all the milk? No? Then you are going to rot in hell.
Oh, Jesus.
Whatever listeners we have in Germany.
Swallow the sausage!
Oh my God. We had two very different interpretations. Despite this incident of Anneliese attacking Thea, her and Thea would actually become very close friends throughout the ordeal to come. Mm-hmm. So even though, like, Thea got attacked, she was like, girl, I know that was Beelzebub. You and I are Gucci.
Period. She's a real one for that.
We're not just Gucci, we're Gucci Mane.
Period. And she's a real one for that.
Anneliese reported that she could not look at religious art or metal, saying that they shined so brightly they burned her eyes.
Interesting.
Anneliese, her family, and her community became convinced she was possessed and appealed to several priests to perform an exorcism. All of them declined, reminding the family... Well, by this point, this is like either towards the end of Vatican II or after Vatican II, where the church is like, we are a modern institution.
Okay, yeah.
And I believe this is around the time when Pope John Paul II became Pope. Mm-hmm. And Pope John Paul II was a very liberalizing factor, like, Pope.
Yeah.
Within terms of the 20th century. Looking back, he doesn't seem that liberal. But in terms of, like, what came before him, he was very liberal.
Right. Okay.
So the priest did decline, and they reminded the family that exorcisms could only be performed with the permission of a bishop after rigorous criteria had been met. They instead advised her to continue her medical treatment.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they can encourage the medical treatment. That's probably good for the best.
Yes, but also remember, she's been seeking medical treatment for about 5 years now.
Okay.
And it's not working.
Okay.
And every time she goes to a new doctor, they're giving her a different diagnosis. Somebody's telling her she has epilepsy. Another person is saying that she has schizophrenia. Somebody's telling her she has bipolar. Somebody's telling her she has borderline personality disorder. I think one guy actually told her that she had the symptoms of a brain tumor, even though she didn't have a brain tumor.
Yeah, that would be so frustrating. I can't even imagine.
Every doctor is telling her something different. There's no cohesive diagnosis. It's not like she's going to one doctor and they're saying, yes, you have epilepsy. And she's going to another doctor and the doctor's saying, yes, you have epilepsy. And she's going to a third doctor who says, yes, you have epilepsy.
Jesus. Yeah, that's really frustrating. I can't even imagine. And then homegirls out here fucking seeing shit, like...
So, as I was saying, despite the medications and the medical attention that she's receiving, her health began to decline by 1975, when she's 23 years old.
Oh, that's sad. She's so young.
She began to become excessively aggressive. She would throw things and destroy religious objects. She once threw her older sister as if she were a rag doll.
Oh, gee.
I just imagine like her going like, ah!
Drink your milk! Be strong like mother!
You didn't eat your spinach! I am Popeye!
Oh my god.
Despite never really cursing before, she began to constantly swear.
My type of girl, really.
She began to injure herself just out of nowhere.
Okay, that's not good.
She would growl animalistically. And once she took an apple in one hand and squeezed it until it was crushed.
Okay, but the growling, what if she was just listening to Screamo music and she was just singing along? Let the bodies hit the floor! Let the bodies hit the floor!
Did they have Screamo music in the 1970s?
I imagine if you believed, and if not, like I said 2 episodes ago, be the art you wish to see in the world.
In addition to her aggressive behavior, she also began to act bizarrely. She would stay up all night fervently praying. Once she drank her own urine off the floor.
Oh, she's like, It's giving Herb. Herb? She's a lady after Herb's
Wait,
own
was Herb into piss play? I forget.
Paul, he pissed on his fucking teacher's desk, his boss desk. He would go around and ask the kids.
Paul, that was 2 weeks ago, and it has been
It was a 2-part series.
Paul, this last week was like 3 months.
Oh my gosh. Obviously, Herb's story did not affect you like it affected me.
It did affect me, which is why I probably choose to repress it.
Affected you a little too much.
You're lucky that I remember the peanut butter sandwich joke.
Girl, that was the whole thumbnail.
I know. Did you read my description?
No.
Oh.
If I'm honest, I don't never read those.
I ended it with make yourself a peanut butter sandwich and open your favorite bottle of wine.
Oh my god. Iconic.
Off the past story, onto the present. She caught a bird that had come into her room and ate it raw.
Girl, catching birds is hard too.
I know.
It's hard to catch a bird. So the way if she was able to do that, that's crazy.
Her family noticed that there was an influx of spiders and flies in just her room. And she began to eat those too.
She just needed a little protein.
She would rip her clothes off of her own body. She would repeatedly genuflect.
Oh, like Neo.
Yes.
Neo, okay.
Like, compulsively, like she couldn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she climbed under a table and barked like a dog for 2 full days.
Okay, that's kind of funny, though. Can you just imagine her under that table, like, ruff, ruff!
Yes, I was about to say, like, if we're going to make a joke, like, don't make it so aggressive.
Right.
And also, the smell of burning feces and sulfur followed her around and was even experienced by people 40 miles away while discussing her.
Oh.
So, like, people 40 miles away were talking about her, and she was nowhere around, and they could smell it. Which, if you remember Amityville...
Wait.
The priest who had blessed the house experienced the same thing in his rectory. The smelling of burnt feces and sulfur.
Oh, like from the house.
Yes. Like he wasn't in the house. He was in his own home and he was being tormented by the smell.
So it's obviously then probably some entity that like when you talk about it, like summons it. Kind of like giving like Freddy. Like
yes.
You've seen the Freddy movies, Freddy Krueger?
Yes.
That's why they don't say his name, because when you say his name, it's like a thing. And, like, I'm pretty sure there are certain demons where if you say their name, it summons them.
Yes.
Or, like, the Wendy Boy.
Yes.
Period.
Or Voldemort.
The one who shall not be named.
Exactly.
Christina Aguilera.
Now, in response to all of this, she was prescribed Tegretol, a mood stabilizer and anti-seizure drug, as well as numerous other psychotics, in addition to all of her other anti-seizure and antipsychotic medication. But none of these even alleviated her condition, let alone cured it.
That sucks. Maybe she should try snorting it.
I don't think that's going to help.
Probably not.
It's not going to help any more than her swallowing it.
You never know.
And you should always swallow, kids, because spitters are quitters.
And that's a message from Crits and Quirks.
Anneliese's mother found a priest named Ernest Alt who believed Anneliese was possessed, as her and her family also believed. He would later say she did not look like an epileptic and stated he never witnessed her once having a traditional seizure. Anneliese wrote to Alt, "I am nothing. Everything about me is vanity. What should I do? I have to improve. You pray for me." And also once told him, "I want to suffer for other people, but this is so cruel."
You know what's interesting? What just popped in my good old little brain?
What?
So you know how the evangelicals, I think it is, where they like speak in tongues and they'll like lie on the floor and be like, "God's overtaken me" and stuff. What if that's happening to her? Like, what if this is all in her head and for like some reason? Because like your brain and mind can do crazy things, the placebo effect and everything. So what if what's happening to her is like very like kind of similar to what the evangelicals do?
That might be, if you'd like to have more for yourself. But also, and we're going to get into this point of the story where she starts getting attention from the Catholic Church that if that was the case, it should leave it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't.
Okay.
I totally see what you're saying, but
my little brain's just a turning.
No, keep that in mind, and we'll come up to that in a couple. We'll circle back to that at the end.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Alt's petitioned Bishop Joseph Stengel to approve an exorcism for the young woman, and Stengel approved the request in September 1975. He appointed Father Arnold Renz to perform the exorcism using the rite according to the Ritual Romanum, which is like the handbook for priests.
Okay.
Which the ritual dated back to 1614.
Oh, yeah, that's probably not outdated or anything.
Well, at this time, and even now in the Catholic Church, it's, when it comes to possession, you use the modern ritual, and if that doesn't work, we're going to go back to the old ritual, because that worked.
Yeah, the old ritual might be more powerful now that I think about it.
And it's because when you're dealing with ancient beings,
you have to use ancient magic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Now, Stengel also ordered total secrecy to surround the exorcism.
Okay.
So the family was not to talk to the news or tell anyone it was going. On September 24th, 1975, Renz and Alt performed the first exorcism on Anneliese. Over the next 10 months, they would perform a total of 67 exorcisms on her, twice a week, each one lasting up to 4 hours.
That's a lot of exorcisms, girl.
She would often be restrained during these sessions either by being held down or chained to a chair to prevent her from attacking others or harming herself.
That would be so scary as like being a young person. Like, I know she's not a kid, but still, like, being a younger person and like being tied down and all this stuff.
Father Renz allowed some of the exorcisms to be recorded, and 42 recordings were made and survive to this day. I'm going to play one now, and I'm going to put a trigger warning right here that even if you do not prescribe to the belief in demonic possession or in any of the teachings or dogma of the Catholic Church, this recording is pretty disturbing. And
you press play and it's just to the window, to the wall.
Come on. Oops.
She's screaming. She's giving.
I don't like that. That's weird. That's like straight out of a horror movie.
There is another clip, but I got this from BuzzFeed Solves. Whoops.
Love BuzzFeed Unsolved. They have a very good duo going there, you know.
They're like us if we were straight.
Yeah. They got a good thing going there. Now, I will say, again, that's... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, let me turn the sound back on. Oops, get out of that. So,
Sorry, say what you were going to say.
no,
Oh, I was going to say, do you remember Doodlebug from SpongeBob?
oh my god.
She sounds like that. He says, I know it's another language.
Yeah,
but
I do think it's like a language thing because I'm going to read the translation and it makes it a little scarier.
Okay, read the translation.
So it begins with Ren's. Why are you at all here? I have as much right to be in this woman until she croaks. She screams, never for all eternity. And then that was the first clip. And the second clip was Ren's. Say your name. I, Judas, and Nero, Cain, and Hitler. That's 5 of us. Ren said, who is the 6th? Anneliese said, we lied about him. An unidentified woman said, Lucifer. And Ren's asked, you lied about him?
Okay, so that's a lot of people to be in one person. But also, it's just like, I feel like at that point, it's like buzzwords. Like, she's just naming really famous demons and bad people.
Okay, so, like I said, she identified the demons possessing her were Lucifer, Cain, who was the son of Adam and Eve who committed the first murder.
Oh, okay.
Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus before the crucifixion. Nero, who is a Roman emperor who burnt Rome to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Adolf Hitler.
Which, obviously.
And Valentin Fleischmann, who was a disgraced priest from the 1500s, and she was able to recount actual facts about his life, even though he's not a well-known historical figure.
See, that's weird. That's what doesn't sit right with me. That last one is weird. Because, like I said, the other ones are famous ones.
Yes.
But if she knows, like, a not well-known one...
And so, like, because a lot of people say, like, oh, of course she's saying Lucifer, like, that's the devil himself, Cain, right. Judas, Nero, Adolf Hitler. And everyone's like, of course she's saying that, she's crazy, she's just naming who she thinks devils are.
Exactly.
But then you get into this person who was excommunicated from the Catholic Church for committing blasphemous acts.
Yeah. That's really...
Who isn't well known.
That's really interesting.
Amongst others. She did name others throughout the process.
Now, do I think the bigger demons have better things to do than with their time than to bother Anneliese Michel? Probably.
Well,
you think Adolf Hitler is worried about little Anneliese?
Well, it is... Well, the thing about demonic possession is very rarely is it just one demon possessing you.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is it, like, multiple, but they come and go.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's like, oh, yeah, Lucifer's, like, possessing her full-time. This is his full-time gig. It's like, he pops in, like...
But at the same time, why her? Like, why Anneliese?
We'll get into that at the end. During the exorcisms, the demons would fight for control of Anneliese. And witnesses reported that different voices coming out of her mouth based on who was in control. For once, Hitler said through her, people are stupid as pigs. They think it's all over after death. It goes on.
Okay.
Meanwhile, within minutes, Judas took over and insulted Hitler as a big mouth who had no real say in hell.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And like I said, these are different voices. So Hitler might be like, people are stupid as pigs. They think it's all over after death. It goes on. And then Judas is like, yeah, Hitler's just a big mouth. He has no real say in hell.
Period. It would be interesting to hear the different voices and accents.
Yes, the first time I looked up this, I tried to find like a whole ass recording.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just found that little clip and I said, there's no way.
There's got to be more!
No, there's more, but it's like, there's no way I can listen to it.
Oh, okay.
Anneliese began to become increasingly talk about dying to atone for the sins of her generation and of wayward priests.
Okay.
At some point during the exorcism, she stopped taking her medication full stop.
Well, that's not good.
She chose it. That's important for later.
Yeah.
In May 1976, she refused food, saying that she was not permitted to eat.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird.
In June 1976, she discontinued medical treatment, so she stopped going to doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Despite this, her physical health was deteriorating. She's not eating. She's drinking very little. She's not going to doctors. She's becoming increasingly frail, but she's still showing incredible strength. Like, she's able to break bonds and throw grown men across the room. And she's a petite woman.
Yeah. She's like starving. That's crazy. That's spooky.
And I don't think I have it in here, like, typed, or else I would have mentioned it earlier. But throughout this, she did have a boyfriend.
Oh.
And he stayed by her side through the entire thing. Like, he didn't break up with her, and, like, he would come to the exorcisms and, like, hold her hand.
Girl, could you imagine? Your whole girlfriend... Honestly...
Hang on, I need to look this up, because, like, he's... Like, that is such... That, like, I would, like...
Because, honestly, I don't think I'd stay. I think I'd be like, this girl's crazy. She needs to fix herself before, like, she can be in a real relationship, okay?
Let me find his name.
Say what you want, but I feel like there's something to be said about protecting your peace and things. And also, like, I know how the story ends, so I'll comment more later. But I don't know. Like, it's really sweet he stayed
Peter.
with her.
His name was Peter.
Peter. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
Like, he stayed with her through all of it and stuff. And I would like to know, like, if he was there before all of this started. Because that's a little different.
I don't know how I didn't write this down, because when I do my notes, I'm going to present them within a day of completing them. So I write down triggering things for recall.
Yeah.
And I did this 6 months ago.
Right.
And I thought that I had it later on. But they met during the initial buildup, like between 1970 and 1973. And so they've been dating for about 3 years, and, like, he stuck by her through all of this.
Okay. It is a little different when you meet someone before something like that starts to happen.
She met him during.
During.
Yeah, and, like, he never, like, left.
Well, it probably wasn't as crazy when they first met.
No, we talked about the build-up.
Yeah.
On June 30th, 1967, the priest performed the final rite of exorcism on Anneliese. At this point, both of her knees were broken, and tendons or labes were torn from her constant genuflection and kneeling in prayer. She was suffering from pneumonia with a high fever, and she was physically unable to move without assistance. There's this story about how, like, she would, like, while the priest was praying, and, like, when she had control over her body, she would want to, like, bless herself. And her mother, I'm going to demonstrate her mother had to take her arm and do the blessing for her because she couldn't lift her arm.
Oh, okay. She did the cross thing for her. Okay.
At the end of the rite, both priests and her mother witnessed her have stigmata. Now, stigmata is in the Catholic belief, which are wounds which are spiritually placed on a person in the same place where Christ was wounded during the crucifixion. So on the palms of the hands, on the arches of the feet, and also on the side of the torso.
See, you'd think that would be a sign of protection, though, because you'd think that would make her more Christ-like instead of being, like...
So the priest said this was the final exorcism, like, they got the demons out. Okay. And that's why the stigmata appeared.
Okay, so she was, like, Christ-like in that moment.
Yes, it was, they're gone. Like, if there was demons in there, those would not appear.
Okay.
And there were points before where they thought they got him out. But like I said, demons are liars. Because remember in the quote, you named 5 people, you said there were 6. We lied about him. Mm-hmm. What if there was a 6th person he hung around? Because it is a thing in demonic exorcisms that you call out their names to exorcise them. And so if you don't have that last one's name, it can stay.
Oh, okay. I got
so
you.
It's like they were like, we did it. But on July 1st, 1976, following 67 exorcisms over the course of 10 months, Anneliese Michel died in her home at the age of 23 from dehydration and malnutrition.
And rest in peace, my girl Anneliese.
She weighed only 66 pounds.
Okay, skinny. That's crazy.
Her last words were to Alt when she said, "You must beg for absolution." And then she turned to her mother and said, "Mother, I am afraid." An autopsy showed Anneliese had a healthy brain with no damage resulting from or causing epileptic seizures, even on a microscopic level. So they literally took her brain out and sliced her to look at it on a microscopic level to see if there was anything there. And she also had no signs of ulcers in the stomach that are normally present on starvation victims.
I think we're brushing over her last words here because her last words are like kind of chilling. Like her last words being like, "I'm afraid." Mm-hmm. It's like both chilling and makes me kind of sad.
It is. It's just very sad that like she was so young and she was really a nice girl. Mm-hmm. Like no one had a mean thing to say about her. Like she physically attacked a woman and the woman was like, she was like so nice. Like I remained her friend throughout it because it wasn't her.
Yeah, it was the illness or demon, whichever one it was.
Now the story does not end there. Because the story of the exorcism became an international sensation and an investigation done by the federal government in Germany into the exorcism took place. Mm-hmm. In that same year, in 1976, the state charged Anneliese's parents, Joseph and Anna, and the two priests, Renz and Alt, with negligent homicide. Joseph and Anna would be defended by Erich Schmidt-Leichner, a defense attorney who was famous for defending prosecuted Nazi officials during the Nuremberg trials.
Not the Nazi lawyer. That's crazy.
Now, one thing I do have to say here, and I say this because he was walking free in Eastern Germany, it is important to remember that defense attorneys, especially like in a case like that where it was being done by the Allied powers, he was probably he was hired by the Allied powers to represent the Nazis. It does not mean that he agreed with them. It was that his job was to give them a fair defense. Okay. So it's not I'm not saying he was a Nazi.
But you're not saying he wasn't.
Jesus Christ.
I'll cut that out, don't worry.
Thank you. The defense for fathers Renz and Alt was paid for by the Catholic Church. Which, if they had done something wrong, we've all seen how fast the Catholic Church turns on its own when something goes wrong.
Yeah. Which, I feel like that's the same with a lot of...
So the fact that they're paying for their lawyers says
yikes.
It's like, there was something there. We just can't say that because y'all think we're crazy.
Right.
The prosecution had numerous doctors testify that Anneliese could not have been possessed. They argued Anneliese had delusions caused by epilepsy and psychosis. They stated that demonic possession was not real and that claiming such was superstitious nonsense. They argued her strict religious upbringing had mentally and emotionally scarred her and affected her later delusions. They also stated that Father Alt showed signs of schizophrenia himself.
Oh, okay.
They also argued the medication suppressed her seizures, which caused her psychosis to run rampant, which was exacerbated by the performance of the exorcism. However, it should be noted that the visions predate her prescriptions.
Interesting.
The defense, I'm giving you both sides here. Mm-hmm. The defense argued that under the German Constitution, citizens have unrestricted exercise of their religions and that she had the right to decline medical treatment. Family friend Thea Hein, who organized the trip to San Damiano and was attacked by her, testified Anneliese had begged her not to suggest medical help to the others. Dr. Richard Roth attended a few of their exorcisms. At one point, Roth had said there is not an injection against the devil.
She's got a point. There isn't.
They also played the tapes that they made of the exorcisms in which the demons could be heard arguing with one another through Anneliese. Both Alt and Renz testified to the veracity of the exorcism and identified the demons. They also stated that Anneliese had been freed of the demons just before she had died. Joseph Bishop Stangl, who approved the exorcism, did not testify, but did say he had no knowledge of Anneliese's medical condition or he would have denied the request. Throughout the trial, there were several instances of people who the Michels had gone to for advice or witnessed the exorcism who had changed their stance on the witness stand. Even Roth denied saying the above quote about an injection against the devil and claimed that on May 30th, 1976, Anneliese appeared to be healthy with no visible injuries despite the testimony of Renz and Alt that she had several bruises, black eyes, and was very thin as photographs attest.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that wasn't very clear. Roth said, I saw her 1 month before she died, and she was in perfect physical health. But Renz and Alt were taking photographs, and they had photographic evidence that by this point she was already deteriorating. And this is before she stopped seeking medical attention.
Okay. I have thoughts. Is this the time for thoughts?
Let me get to the end and then we'll share thoughts.
Okay.
Or the end of this portion. There's not much more. There's just like a postscript after this. This is just concluding the trial.
Okay.
In April 1978, Joseph and Anna Michel and fathers Alt and Renz were found guilty of negligent homicide. The judge sentenced all four to 6 months in prison, which he suspended due to the trauma of Anneliese's death, 3 years probation, and to pay the court and legal costs of the trial. The sentence was openly called harsh and too much by the prosecution, who had advised the parents be found guilty and let go, and the priest be ordered to pay a nominal fine. So, like, the prosecution, who is saying, like, yeah, they did it, was like, whoa, you were being way too harsh on them.
Right. So, the prosecutors are the ones who are saying they're guilty, and they're saying that the punishment was too harsh.
Yes.
Which I do kind of agree with. But at the same time, all of this is going down. At what point do you try and get that medical care? Like, at some point, she was dehydrated, not eating and stuff. I feel like they could have taken her to, like, a hospital, maybe, and they could have put her in, like, some sort of induced coma and forced, like, liquids and things into her body.
They could not.
Why not?
Because she refused medical treatment.
Oh,
so they would have had to go to court. For that to happen, they would have had her to go to court and had her declared incapable of caring for herself to do that.
Well, I mean, look at her. She wasn't capable of carrying herself. She was, 66 pounds, like you said? Like, homegirl, you said she couldn't move on her own.
Yes.
So at that point, I feel like those steps could have been taken, supernatural or not. There were steps that could have been taken, but at the same time, it was probably like, because no one prepares you for situations like this when your child is, like, freaking possessed or something. Like, there's no school, like, there's no, like, handbook, and the doctors are telling you one thing, and then she's telling, like, the priests are saying the other. Like, it's like, who do you believe and what are you doing? It's also, they're fighting something they can't see.
Yes.
Like, you can't prove, there's no way to prove that demons were in her, except for, like, what she's doing and experiencing and what they're experiencing as well. So it's hard to fight something you can't see.
Yes.
And there's no handbook. What are your thoughts?
No, I like that. I'm going to come back to my thoughts later.
Okay.
When we're done, because I'd like to have just a short discussion and say, like, do you think she was possessed or not when I get to the end.
Okay.
Felicitas D. Goodman, Ph.D., who wrote a book on the case, stated that the prosecution presented theories of Anneliese being an epileptic as a statement of undisputable fact, not conjecture, as in fact they had been. Quote.
But didn't you say there was no evidence? Like, no evidence in the brain?
Exactly. So what she's saying is they presented it as there was no question she was epileptic. It was just conjecture because she had multiple diagnoses.
Okay, interesting. I don't know.
In a conference several years later, German bishops retracted the claim that Anneliese was ever possessed and stated that she had instead been insane due to the ongoing media coverage of the case.
They switched up so quick.
In 1984, the Conference of German Bishops petitioned the Vatican to review and all but stop the rite of exorcism, which Pope John Paul II did in 1999. That same year, the Michels requested Anneliese's remains be exhumed from her grave. They stated that she had been buried in undue haste and in a cheap coffin. They and the priest may have also been hoping that she showed signs of incorruptibility, a Catholic belief that a blessed or holy person's body will not decay after death. Her remains were exhumed and placed in an oak coffin lined with tin. Her parents and the priest were barred from entering the mortuary, and it was reported by the medical examiner that her body showed normal signs of decay for 2 years post-death.
Well, I need someone else to see it too then. Wake up, sheeple. They kept them out of the room for a reason.
Her grave is now a site of pilgrimage to those who believe her death atoned for the sinful ways of youth and wayward priests following Vatican II. In 1999, her father died. In 2006, her mother stated she did not regret her actions and said, "I know I did the right thing because I saw the sign of Christ in her hands." On June 6, 2013, the house in which Michel had lived and been exorcised burnt down to the ground in an incident authorities claimed to be arson, but locals attribute it to being related to the exorcism. The case has served as the inspiration to several movies, including Anneliese the Exorcist Tapes, Requiem, and most famously, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, starring Jennifer Carpenter, Laura Linney, and Tom Wilkinson.
Period. Okay, some of those are good movies.
Yeah. So,
do I think she was possessed?
Yes. I want to hear your take.
It's complicated because there's so much going into it.
Wait, do you want me to do a recap?
I mean,
a spark notes of everything we've covered real quick?
I mean, if you want to.
No, because it might be, I know what I do.
I don't need it.
I don't need it either. And it's basically just going to be the defense for my own theory, so...
So my take on it, I think she might have been possessed, but also I feel like even if it wasn't something medical, it could have been in her head. So I guess that would be something mental. So
we're going to categorize that as medical, though.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. And was she possessed?
Mental health is medical.
And I feel like it's a cop-out for me to say I don't know. But,
that's fine.
I don't fully know. Actually, you know what? No, I think it was medical. I think Homegirl was possessed? There are some weird things in this case, but do I think Homegirl was possessed, or do I think she had a mental something or other going on? I mean, even coming from early age, thinking she has to atone for other sins, so she obviously has this religious rhetoric in her mind from a young age. And going back to that evangelical thing where they're laying on the floor speaking in tongues, God's overcoming for me. It could be a very extreme version of that. Now, am I open to her being possessed? Yes. Am I fully convinced that she was possessed? Not really. And even going back to that lesser known priest or whatever that she might not have known about, maybe she was... Like I said, she was indoctrinated into the religion from a young age, so maybe she was researching the religion a lot. I mean, it took over her life. She was possessed, so it obviously took over her life. So it's not beyond the realm of belief that she researched and she found this disgraced priest whose name she said.
Okay. I believe I'm the opposite.
Okay.
I think that there could be a case made that it was mental health or physical, or either psychosis or physical mental health, a neurological disorder. However, I don't think the evidence that we have points to that being inconclusive. I think that there's far more evidence that she was possessed.
Okay.
Based on, I agree with you where you brought up the with the evangelical church and the rolling around the floor and believing that they're being possessed by the Holy Spirit, or that they are being inhabited by God. But if that was the case, there were 67 exorcisms where she could have been, I'm cured. The fact that every doctor she went to gave her a different diagnosis, that there was no medical explanation for her seizures, for the increased strength that she had. The fact that she, on the last day of her life, she still, while she did need help moving, her parents did note that, up until like her knees broke, she was genuflecting compulsively, like something was forcing her to genuflect.
I mean, that could be OCD.
It could be OCD, but
It's weird. I don't know. I'm very open to the notion that she was possessed, and like maybe she was, or maybe it was a combination of both. Like demons pick out weak people, so maybe she had a pre-existing illness, and the demon targeted her.
And one thing we did talk in the beginning about her being a sickly child, and it is fairly well noted that people who were sick as child, like physically sick as children, tend to be, and who are most religious, are the ones who are picked on by the demons. And I mean, that's like demonologists will say that, like, if you think because you pray a lot, like you pray the rosary every day and you converse with God and you read your Bible, you're less likely to get possessed. No, you're just as likely, if not more, because if a demon can kill you, that's better than getting somebody who's an atheist or an agnostic.
Yeah, I don't feel like a demon attacks you for how religious you are. They just look for weak people, I feel like. And I don't feel like that has anything... Well, yeah, I don't think that really has anything to do with how religious you are.
Yeah, and it could be coming from because a lot of my research into demonology has been through the Catholic perspective.
Right.
Which is what I was brought up in. And the teaching there is that praying like cannot always save you, because if you are a weak person, they're going to get you, and because you pray, you're a bigger prize.
Right.
But it does come down to the weakness. And I mean, obviously she was physically frail.
She was very physically frail. I mean, especially at the end there. But then again, at the end there, like she got absolved or whatever, cured, or the demons left, and she was still physically frail, so physically frail that she died.
And I didn't see this in my research, but the case in the Exorcism of Anneliese Michel, which is based on this, it was kind of that she should have died a lot sooner, but the demons kind of kept her going, and once they were gone, she just didn't have anything left in her.
That's true. That could be a thing. Okay, I see what you're saying there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I totally see where you're coming from, but I'm also saying that
that she could have been possessed.
The research that I got, like, there was just no medical evidence, and I know that when it comes to mental illness, there are no brain lesions or scar tissue or abnormalities that can show up on a brain scan. Right. But she was going to psychologists. She was being put into psychiatric homes or institutions, hospitals, and the doctors there were giving her differing diagnoses too.
That's so true. It's just all so complicated. It's just frustrating that we're never going to really know the answer.
No, we're not.
Of like what was going on and going down. Now, going back to the court thing where like, and it's just such a gray area because there's no protection for people.
Because, yes, and here's the thing. This is going to be a hot take, and people can disagree with me. I do agree with the prosecution that the sentencing was too harsh.
Yeah.
And I agree with the defense, which I get it, like, somebody very well could have said, like, you know what, Anneliese, I just still think you're possessed, you're just too weak, we need to put you in a hospital and get you on an IV.
Yeah, they very much.
But, and maybe this is being an American and growing up with freedom of religion, well, we still have it, that somebody, like, she had the right to say, I do not want to be treated.
Yeah.
And so I think because she said that, and like I said, the prosecution was saying that she was an epileptic, she was psychotic as fact. There's no proof that it was a fact. And so you can't make the argument that she was unable to make the decision that she did not want medical treatment. And so I'm going to say that in light of that, her parents and the two priests should not have been tried.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, if they were able to have doctors and say, like, no, she was psychotic, she was experiencing schizophrenia and, like, showing signs of bipolar. If all these doctors were able to, like, say, like, you know what, no, it's this, this, and this, I would say, like, absolutely she should have been admitted against her will. But none of the doctors could agree. And like I said at the end, a lot of the doctors said one thing to Anneliese and her parents at the time of visitation, and then said another thing. Dr. Roth, he told, like, somebody said, like, can't you do something to help her? And he said, there's no injection against the devil. And then he got up on the stand and he said, I never said that. And he said she was in perfect health on the 30th when there's photographic evidence that she was not.
Right.
That neurologist who said, you should consult a priest to Annaliese's mother. Like, don't bring her back to me. You should consult a priest because I have no other answers.
Yeah, when the doctors
they approached him and he said, I don't want to be called. I don't want that attached to my name.
See, at that point you have to call him because at that point he's like, no, you do that. Like, that was a doctor saying that. So, like, yeah, they shouldn't have been tried. When you think about that, like...
So, like, it was very... It's... And that... But also, it could be argued that's the point of legal cases, is the presentation of evidence. And I will say that it's... They did a pretty damn good job, both sides, prosecution and defense, that it is 50 years later, and we are still debating who's right.
And I don't think we're ever going to have an answer because we just don't have all the facts, and we're not going to have all the facts. So.
No. Any last thoughts?
This is a really good case and a really good story and a really good philosophical debate and just debate in general. It's a really good story and a really good debate. Yeah. And I want to hear your thoughts. So comment down below. What do you think? Was she possessed? And remember, you guys can text us too. Just click the little link down below.
I will say before you share your thoughts with us that this is an intellectual discussion. Whether you agree with Paul that it was mental or physical illness, or you agree with me that it was something more spiritual, when you share your thoughts, please do so in a kind way. Don't insult either of our intelligence or say that we're idiots for our belief system. You can present your own thoughts and things, but please do it in a kind way, because if you don't, we're just going to delete the comment and block you because you're just hating for no apparent reason. This is an open-minded podcast.
And just because we're comedians doesn't mean we're stupid. Okay?
No.
I graduated top of my class in college and every school I went to.
Exactly.
I play dumb. It's a character. Get into it.
So, like... In this, like Paul said, this is a lot of gray areas. So please share your thoughts. Just do so in a kind way, because you might have a point that may make one of us reconsider. But if you say it in the terms of meanness and hatred, your point's going to get lost.
Period. But that being said, we do want to hear your points. So comment, text, retweet. Well, not tweet. We don't tweet anymore. Go to our Facebook page and comment. Leave us just anything down below. Let us know what you think, because this is a really interesting story.
And do whatever you do, whether it's in person or on social media, with kindness and with open-mindedness.
Exactly. Do everything with kindness.
And intention.
Yes. Period.
That was my point. That was my point. Do things with kindness and intention. Don't just fly off the handle.
Period.
You know where to find us on all of our social media. Paul, where can they find you?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And as usual, guys, it's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
And if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on TikTok or on Instagram at TheRealDeechPowers. And we do like to close the episode by giving back to society a little bit. The genocide in Israel and committed by Israel on Palestine is ongoing, and the group that is being most affected are Palestinian children. You can donate to their relief at www.unicef.org. Donald Trump's election is going to have far-reaching consequences on many minority groups in the United States. The ACLU is already gearing up to help protect our rights and to fight against really backwards legislature that's going to try to be passed. So you can either donate or volunteer with them at w.aclu.org. And Paul and I are both members of the LGBT community, which is one of the minority groups that is being targeted by the Republican Party and Donald Trump as a whole. So if you feel inclined, you can also donate to the Human Rights Campaign at www.hrc.org.
My favorite thing you do is out us every episode. Just a friendly reminder.
Just a friendly reminder, we're both gay as the day is long.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that's all she wrote. Yes. I did a lot of talking this episode.
Yes, you did a great job. Thank you.
Anytime. I really hope that the audio worked this time because it is a great story. Mm-hmm. And I do think it's a great one for you guys to interact with us more, either through DMing, emailing, or texting.
Period.
Because there's all kinds of sides to this.
Exactly.
And remember, keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose. Bye.
Oh, you know, I would rather King Charles be a tampon if I got to live in a palace than in my thrice-mortgaged cottage outside of Bournemouth.